Today we will perform an air brake inspection. So this is an updated version of air brake inspection. So this is the 5th inspection you guys have to perform for the class 1 road test. So after you complete your underhood inspection, you complete your uncouple and couple, circle check, then in-cab. So when you guys come to perform the in-cab inspection, make sure you guys start the truck. So when you guys start the truck, this will always confirm you have enough air brake pressure in the tanks. So right now you can see I've just completed my in-cab inspection and my truck is running. So this will confirm that I have enough air pressure. And right now if you see the gauges, it's a little more than 100 psi. Okay, so now we are ready to perform the air brake inspection. So to start the inspection, we know that our yellow and red is out. So we know it's already out. We also know that our wheels are chalked. Okay, so now we are ready to perform the air brake inspection. So the first test we have to perform is tractor protection system. So to perform the tractor protection system, what we will do, we will turn the truck off and we will turn the key to on position so we can see all the gauges. Okay, so now we can see all the gauges and we are ready to perform tractor protection system. First, we will push the red button in. So we will push the red button in and the park control valve is out. So now before we go outside to disconnect our airlines, we have to mention it to the examiner that the red button will pop out automatically anywhere from 60 to 40 psi or higher. So it can also pop out at a higher pressure. So you have to mention red will pop out at 60 to 40 psi or higher. We also have to mention that the low pressure warning will come on at 60 psi. We are ready to go outside and disconnect our airlines. So now we are outside to disconnect our airlines. First we will disconnect the blue airline, and be careful before you remove the red airline because there is a lot of pressure. And we never want to disconnect our electrical connection. So now we have come inside the tractor and we are waiting for the red button to pop out. So we can see the pressure is dropping in the gauges. Okay, so we can hear that the red button has popped out. So if we take a look at our gauges, it has popped at around 70 psi. So which is perfect because we mentioned that the red button should pop out at 60 to 40 psi or above. Okay, sometimes what happens, before you come into the cab, you will notice the red button has already popped out. Let's say you come to the cab and you're unsure if the red button has popped out or not. One way to know that the red button has popped out, so we can see the gauges are stopped, right? So the gauges are not dropping. And if we listen outside, we do not listen any air leakage coming out of the red line. So as soon as the leakage stops coming out of the red line, this means that the red button has popped out. Okay, so that's one indication. But now when we came in the cab, the red button popped out after, but it can also pop out while you are still outside. We'll go ahead and pull this trailer service valve. So we'll go ahead and pull this trailer service valve. What we want to hear is any leakage coming from the blue line. So right now we cannot hear any air leakage. So once we confirm there is no air leakage coming out of the blue line, this confirms that our tractor protection system is working fine. So our first test is complete. So our tractor protection system is working perfectly. So the next test we have to perform is called park control valve. So to test the park control valve, we'll have to push the yellow button in. So we'll push the yellow button in and the yellow button should pop out by 45 to 20 psi. So right now we can also see the low pressure warning has not come on yet. So we already mentioned to the examiner that it should come by at 60 psi, but we haven't got at 60 psi yet. So the yellow button should pop out at 45 to 20 psi. For that, we'll have to fan our foot brakes. So as soon as the pressure reaches at 60 psi, we can also confirm that the low pressure warning is on by 60 psi. So now we will continue to fan our foot brakes to drop the air pressure. So now we confirm that the yellow button has popped out. So our park control valve is working perfectly. Usually the park control valve always pops out at around 20 psi. So now our two tests are done. So our next test is to perform compressor buildup test. For that, we will go outside and reconnect our airlines. These airlines, make sure the seals are not pinched and they're in good condition, because if they're not in good condition, we'll have a leak when we perform service leak test. So keep an eye on these seals. So we will connect our blue airline. And we will connect our red airline. Make sure the seals are in good condition. So our airlines are connected. Now we have come into the cab after reconnecting our airlines. So our next test is to perform compressor buildup time. Okay, so before we start the truck, we'll let the examiner know. So what are we testing? So we are testing compressor buildup time, which is from 50 to 90 psi within 3 minutes. And we will also confirm that the low pressure warning goes off by 60 psi. So we are ready to start the truck. Also, we want to make sure that our clock is on. So we want to make sure that our stopwatch is ready to check the time. Okay, so now we are ready to start the truck. So our truck is running and we want to make the RPM at around 1200 RPMs. Doesn't have to be exactly 1200 as long as it's anywhere from 10, 11, 12. So when the pressure reaches 50 psi, we will note our time. So now we can see the pressure is at 50 psi. We will start the time. So we also confirmed that at 60 psi, low pressure warning is off. So we'll continue to monitor our time until 90 psi. So it's at 90 psi now, and it has done it within 1 minute. So compressor is perfect. So our next test is called governor cutout. So the governor cutout is at 120 to 135 psi, and we will wait for the sneeze to confirm the governor cutout has happened. So now we just heard the sneeze. This confirms that governor cutout is working perfectly. So now our next test is to perform governor cut in. So what is the pressure for governor cut in? So when the pressure drops from 20 to 25 psi below cut out. Okay, so 20 to 25 psi below cut out. For that, we will push the yellow and red in, and we will monitor our gauges. So we will not press the foot brakes yet. Sometimes in some trucks, when you push the yellow and red in, pressure usually drops 20 to 25 psi by itself. So now we can see the pressure is at around 95 psi, and we want to keep an eye on the gauges. Okay, Now we can see the gauges has started moving up, right? So now if we give the gas, bring the RPM to 1200, we can see the gauges are starting to move. So this confirms that the governor cut-in is working fine. Okay? So a lot of students pressed brakes and brought the pressure to around 90 psi or 85 psi. We don't want to do that. We only want to drop the pressure anywhere from 20 to 25 psi. Now we had made full pressure. We have done the governor cutout again, and now we are ready to perform service leak test. So for service leak test, we will turn the truck off and turn the key to on position. Now we need a stopwatch again. So we want to press the foot brakes and wait for the gauges to stabilize. Once the gauges stabilize, we will start our timer. For service leak test, air should not leak more than 6 psi, 4 for the tractor and 2 for each trailer. So we'll press the foot brake, and once the gauges are stable, we'll start the timer. So you want to hold it for 2 minutes. And we want to listen for any audible air leak, and we want to monitor our gauges to see if there's any drop in pressure. Right now we can see the gauges are stable. Now 2 minutes are over, so this confirms our service leak test is good. Before we move our foot from the service brake, we want to make sure that we pull the yellow spark control valve out. A lot of students forget to pull this spark control valve out and end up failing. So before we want to remove our foot from the brake pedal, always make sure you pull this brakes out so you do not accidentally forget and fail. So now our service leak test is complete. Now the next test is to perform brake response test. For that, we'll have to remove the wheel blocks. Now we'll come inside, we will start the truck, and we will go into first gear, and we will release our spring brakes. Now we will move the truck 6 feet. We'll press the foot brakes, come to a complete stop. We'll move truck another 6 feet, apply trailer service brake. So the truck comes to a complete stop. So this concludes our air brake inspection. So now we'll go into neutral, apply the brakes, and now we are ready to go on the road. So now we'll wait for the examiner's instructions as to what examiner wants us to do on the road.